looking now towards the lead up to last year, May last year, you're moving towards the 2022 election. But how did you decide to run?
So as the third spot on the Senate ticket, we hadn't won it. Labor hadn't won it since 1984. So when I was asked asked if I would consider putting my name down, I was like, oh, well, it'll probably be a good experience, like losing my dad when he was only 47 years old. I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to live to see 47. So why don't I just give it a crack? Take every opportunity as it comes. And if it's not for me, just opt out. Except with this, I was like, if I win, there is no opting out for 6 years. But I was like, winning is not on the card. So this is going to be an excellent experience. I love campaigning, love door knocking and talking to people. And so for me, it was just another opportunity to ensure that we get a progressive government that will lead the way for us. So for me, that was the goal. And I was like, well, I'm just going to put my name down and see where this goes, but also get young people more involved. Because, as a young person, being the voice for young people, I was like, this is our opportunity to really push for a government that will create change in the spaces that we're passionate about.
It's hard to contextualize the job of a politician for some people, but it is a job. And if you look at the campaign as the longest job interview process ever, can you tell me what the actual campaign process was like? Did you feel much pressure throughout?
No. And I think that was the joy of being number 3 on the ticket, right? No expectations. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Fatima's there. But I was very heavily involved in our House of Representative members, so the federal seats. And I was ensuring that, we get them elected. They're such fantastic candidates, all of them. And so my time was literally divided trying to door knock and campaign with them. So it was like a morning, afternoon, and like late evening door knocks. And it was fun I enjoyed it. But not having the pressure allowed me to be more flexible with my time. There was no particular pressure of meeting any particular targets or, being seen in a particular way. But it was, the challenging part of it was the uncertainty, obviously not knowing where all this is going. But also I had to renounce my citizenship, which obviously required a lot of back and forth with the Afghan embassy, which obviously was difficult because Afghanistan's government had fallen. So it was just a massive kerfuffle. And but had heaps of support from my state MPs and mentors, and they were just incredible. They were, it was just giving the multicultural community that sense of representation, even though I was just a candidate. They felt like they were finally being seen and heard, and they had a representative in there running as a candidate. So I'd say it inspired quite a few people to take politics quite seriously.
Yeah. Bit of a two-part question here, but, as you're campaigning, first of all, what are the issues that are most important to you and your team and your campaign? And secondly, did those align with what you saw and what you heard door knocking and talking to members of the public?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think one of the biggest areas that we focused on was the National Anti-Corruption Commission, and returning that faith and integrity back into politics and ensuring that, politicians are held to account. And that's exactly what we heard on the doors. Climate change was another one. Exactly what we heard on the doors. Everyone was worried about us not playing our part, especially on the global stage. Like, I think ScoMo didn't do us proud on multiple occasions, but it really highlighted that you just needed to listen to constituents, people on the ground, people who are suffering. Cost of living was on the rise, and just understanding that people are doing it tough out there and they need representatives to listen. And I think politicians need to talk less and listen more.
We of course know now what happened on election night and the massive swing that we saw towards Labor, but that wasn't guaranteed going in. It wasn't even predicted in a lot of spaces. Can you tell me what election night was like for you?
Well, there was no such thing as a safe seat. So we went
Yeah.
into the big hall where the counting was done. Like we were watching it on the screen. Anthony Green was just, he keeps you on the edge, right? I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And I think as the numbers from the east sort of start coming a bit earlier because of the time difference, and we were worried. We really were. And it wasn't until counting started here in WA that we saw the numbers sort of go up for Labor, and started winning seats that we did not expect, like Tangney and Hasluck.
Yeah.
And as soon as, I guess, Tangney was announced as winning, because Moore was in contention, and then I became in contention because I was like, oh my goodness, this is serious. And complete denial. I was like, yeah, no, this isn't going to happen. This is, no, it's not. But I think the sheer joy of having won government that night and hearing the Prime Minister speak, it was this instant renewal within the whole space. Like everyone felt this sigh of, like this sense of relief. Like we've got a good government. We've got what we were like working so hard for. A government that is going to care for our lowest paid workers, a government that is going to care for those young parents and families out there, a government that is going to ensure that people are held accountable and that the work actually gets done. So yeah, it was sigh of relief.
So you're elected with that 6th and final Senate spot in WA. What was your personal reaction when you found out that you were going to be representing the state?
Oh, I just fell to the ground and I started crying. Called mum, and my mum was in absolute denial herself. She's like, until I see the results, I'm not going to believe it. And I was like, Mum, I won. And she just bursted out crying. And I think the only thing that I was missing that night was I just wish I could see the expression on my dad's face. Like that would have meant the world to me, just for him to see how far his little girl had come.